Prosperous Feminine. Let's all take a breath because I want to talk about something that hits every single one of us right in the heart. And that's about getting out of debt, right? It's actually really real. And more people than you realize are in debt. I've been in debt, I think 4 times. Yeah. And it doesn't mean just because someone has money or they're okay for the rest of their life that they don't carry debt. So what I want to do is really, my intention is that this really clears the shame about it, because what we need to do is get back on track and start rebuilding that self-trust and creating a fresh start, because that'll hold you back from making more money, receiving more money, feeling like you should receive more money, and keep you in that cycle, right, of barely just enough because you can't trust yourself with money. So let's dive into this, because I think that it carries a lot of weight and often a lot of silence. And that's the word debt, right? And I know how it feels. You've invested in yourself, in programs, in your growth. And some of it paid you back and some of it didn't. And some of it was never intended to make you money, right? And now you're looking at the numbers. You're looking at how much you have to pay every month, and you feel that shame and that doubt, right? It's like right here. And you're hearing that old inner voice whispering, see, we can't be trusted with money. And I really want to say this clearly, and I'm going to lean in. Debt does not mean you failed. It means that you've been on a journey of investment and self-discovery, and that every first step out isn't about credit cards or interest rates. It's about getting your self-trust back. And all the rest will take care of itself. Yes, there's work to do. Yes, there's money to be made. Yes, there's money to pay off. And there's some ways that you can play the shell game and shuffle things around and make it easier on yourself. Okay. And when women feel that sting of debt, I've felt it. Like it gets you choked up. When you don't look people in the eye, you feel so ashamed. And often we're carrying old family stories on our shoulders, right? Like maybe you were told you're not good with money. I know that I was. My parents would make me ask them for my little paper bank book if I was going to deposit or I was going to take any money out. And I had to be accountable for how much I was taking out and why. And if it wasn't a good enough reason, they wouldn't give it to me. What got left inside of me was, you can't be trusted with money, right? And that's a scary kind of feeling to have. And maybe you spent money in a way that made you feel reckless or irresponsible, or you're not even doing any of that, but you feel reckless, irresponsible, and not to be trusted, right? Because you've made agreements to yourself about earning money, making a living, getting clients, building a business, and you haven't kept all of those agreements with yourself. So sometimes we do it to ourselves where we don't stay in integrity. The word integrity really means that you stay true to yourself. So first is we have to do an inventory of looking at the broken agreements that we have with ourselves. And that shows up in debt. And I do that inventory all the time, let me tell you. And I'm a spender. I like to spend. It gives me a sense of newness. There's this like aliveness hit that comes with it. And I have to really watch that, right? And so what happens when you get into debt is that these stories resurface. And the moment, every single time you open it up and you're like, and you go to pay your credit card and you can't pay the statement balance or the current balance, and you can barely make the minimum payment, right? It's like, see, I knew I couldn't be trusted with money. And every month we get hit with that, right? And it hits on those inherited beliefs. But the truth is, those are not who you are. And yes, we have to face the reality of being in debt and having that feeling and having that experience of owing money. Now, we can tell ourselves that someone was willing to invest in us up front. That's true. But we also got to get busy and do something about it, right? And so getting out of debt actually starts with numbers. And I like to talk about nurturing your numbers. And I really set the stage. So I have my laptop. I'm sitting in one of my comfortable chairs, not at a desk. I'm playing soft music. I really like an artist called Parijat. It's Parijat. He's on all of the popular music places like Spotify and iTunes and Pandora. And I let it play really softly in the background. I do breath work and I set an intention that I'm going to be really kind to myself. And I have a fuzzy blanket, I'm in comfortable clothes, and I don't rush to pay my bills. And I spend time and I get into relationship with the money I've earned, the money I've spent, and the money that I owe. And I let any sadness come, any shame come, and I start to really ask myself, how can I shift this pattern? And how can I create a path free to release all debt? And I think what we have to do is look at what are we indebted to? That there's a consciousness of debt, like the what are we indebted to? I was looking at some money that I had carried on a credit card and I sat and it just started to be like, what is this about? What's the pattern? And it came up to ask myself about indebtedness. And I'm like, what am I indebted to? And there was this like overwhelming sense of guilt that after my husband had died suddenly, that I spent a lot of money on traveling because the wildlife and being in the wild and being off the grid and away from construction and city and cement and concrete jungles was a path to my healing. I didn't know it at the time, but it was the thing that kept me alive and kept me on the planet. I spent a lot of money and I had always felt guilty about spending that money. So I felt like I was indebted to his memory or I was indebted to money that I had made this self agreement that I had to pay back. And the truth is, I had more than enough money and I didn't overspend. And I had the money to spend and I spent it for a really good reason, which was my well being. And I needed it more than anything. And it brought me here today, being okay, being in love again, being able to thrive and teach and lead from a place of being flattened and broken. So, do I need to feel guilty about that? That's inside of me. So, when we look at the indebtedness, that becomes a really key to the underbelly of this, right? And when we feel indebted, we feel shameful, we feel like we failed, but we also lose our self trust, which is the worst part, right? Owing money, we can make money, we can bring money in, right? And so we've got to start with this place of looking at reclaiming the ability to say, I can trust myself with my money, with money, and I can create a new chapter. And that's what I'm going to do right now. And I'm hoping that this podcast is that moment where you put a stake in the ground. It doesn't mean that you're going to pay off your debt in the next 5 days. But if you keep looking at inside of you when you're sitting with paying your bills, where can I release any indebtedness I feel, right? And that's a very important part of this process. So now I want to give you 3 practical ways that you can start to climb out of debt and things that you can do. There's a lot of options. There's debt consolidators. I'm not in a position to recommend any of them, but be really careful about any contracts that you sign. You read every bit of that fine print. If you don't understand it, you don't sign it, okay? You need to know that you're not, in fact, owing a higher rate because what they're in the business of is selling you a lower payment. And that intense feeling of desperation, of wanting a monthly lower payment, right, can have you sign up for something that's more expensive than the path that you're on. So let's not do that. And if you need a friend to read it, then get a friend to read it. If you have an attorney or a brother or a dad or someone in your family that's really good at that kind of stuff, have them read it. Okay. And a big part of this is to start to own and talk about that you're in a situation that you want to change, right? Because when we keep it silent, we keep it hidden. That's what the traditionally masculine money making system wants us to do, because that silence is what erodes self trust. And by talking about it, you start to witness yourself doing something about it. And that's when you start to get some of your self trust back. Okay. So the first thing is, and this actually works, is to call your credit card company and negotiate your interest rates, or at least try. Okay. And what you want to do is ask them to lower your interest rate. And if someone just says, oh no, we don't do that, ask to speak to a supervisor. You might get on hold for a little bit, but it's worth it. Okay. And what you have as leverage is telling them, I do have other credit cards that are offering me a 0% balance transfer. And I'm inclined to take them up on that, but I wanted to give you first pass at lowering my interest rate because I'm in a situation that I'm up against the wall and I need to pay down my debt, but I can't do it at this rate, and see if they'll help you. Okay. If they do, and they give you a temporary rate, say, we'll give you this rate for the next year, make sure you write down the date that rate ends somewhere important where you will remember it. Okay. Because if they give you a year, you want to know when that date is coming, that you're either going to pay it off or you're going to do the next part of this, which is roll over to a 0% offer. If you have a credit card that has a high credit limit on it and you don't have very much money on sitting on that card, if you log in and you click on the offers section, there's a high likelihood that they're going to offer you a 0% balance transfer. Now, it comes with a small fee to transfer it, okay? If you have that, use it. Usually they will give you anywhere from 6 months to a year. I've gotten them up to 15 months, right? And that's a great way to actually take high interest debt, even just buy some time and move it over to 0%. Okay. So those are options that you have in front of you. And if you have a 0% offer, take it. And if that still leaves money on your expensive credit card, renegotiate that rate. Okay. But I would renegotiate that rate before you transfer any money. Okay. So the second thing is to ask for help really wisely. If you have no open credit options, ask a caring family member who loves you, who is empathetic, and will be kind if they would help you pay some of it off and offer to pay them back on a monthly basis with a much lower interest rate than the credit card companies. This can save you thousands and thousands of dollars over time. And we tend to keep our word in those situations, and it adds in accountability around paying off monthly, and it keeps the repayment relational, not punitive. You see how that's an important thing to do. Plus, it lifts the veil of silence on this, okay? It's one of the ways that I really see women suffer in silence. And we've all invested in things that didn't pay us, with massive amounts of broken promises, places that we were promised all kinds of easy access to making money and didn't happen, places that we went to and we did make money, and other things that we invested in just for our well-being that weren't intended to make us money. But we all keep getting in this cycle of creating debt. And that's one of the important cycles that we need to break. The key to that is looking at inside yourself what you feel indebted to, because that's going to preclude your ability to generate new income. All right, we'll talk about that more. Okay. The third thing is time, my friend, to start setting monthly money goals that include paying off debt. Okay. So let's say you want to earn $10,000 a month from your business, and you also want to put $2,000 towards debt. So that means your new money goal for this month would actually be $12,000. Build your targets around not just paying the bills, but also freeing yourself, because money loves intention. It loves clarity. I earned my way out of corporate America at 47 by pure intention, because I received the guidance, the steps, the things to do, the things to say, and to step out of the traditionally masculine selling system that I was being taught and step into my own intelligence. And that's when all that happened. You can do it too. It's not a gift only I was given from my star. You were born with it as well. It's your birthright. But you have to be willing to put in the work and make a solid relationship with money, a new relationship with money, one where you're empowered, not one where you're indebted and where you feel ashamed of yourself. Okay. Right. And here's the thing, you got to check your spending. So it's a really simple model: lower your expenses, increase your earnings. Or if you need to increase your expenses, then increase your earnings to more than double to account for the increase in expenses. And don't just keep blindly spending, because if you've invested in things that haven't paid you back and you expected them to, then there's two things to look inside at. There's two things to look at inside yourself. And that is, Did I keep my word with myself about what I agreed to commit to? And did I actually vet what I was going to buy, the program I was going to buy and invest in to see if it actually met my needs? More and more and more, I'm going to encourage you to test programs, to get a buying window that works for you, not 3 days, not 15 days, but a month. I'm going to ask you to actually really tire kick the program and really get clear about the questions. And a lot of programs are evergreen, which means you can enroll at any time. You don't have to enroll after an event. If you are at an event and you hear about the bonuses, make them a stipulation if you decide later it's the right program for you, that those are a stipulation of enrollment. You are not beholden to them. If they want your business and they want to help you, they'll walk this path with you. And anybody that doesn't want to walk that path with you, I don't know about you, but that's somebody I do not want to work with. I've been playing around a little bit and looking at some of these funnels on Instagram, come in, we'll guarantee you 10 million views and you don't have to pay. And I get on the phone with somebody who's 20 years old, who doesn't know a thing about selling, expecting me in 20 minutes to hand over $30,000 and jump into this program because these people are supposed to be, the top of the food chain and they helped all the big names and it's just a celebrity launch. And I'm like, not in your right mind am I going to do that. And I don't know anything about these people. So like slow your roll on what you invest in, okay? And check your spending by asking yourself, is there anything I can release right now that doesn't actually support my prosperity? One of the things I would encourage you to do, all those little $9.99 monthly fees, $19.99 monthly fees for, streaming services, internet services, apps on your phone you don't use. Listen, those might not be what's breaking you or creating debt, but if you could create an extra $100, $200 a month by getting rid of some of those subscriptions, by actually cleaning it up, you're not letting that be in the silence eroding your money. Okay. It's an important thing to do. It's not about the dollar amount. It's about not letting there be any leaks anymore and plugging those leaks. Okay. So every dollar that you redirect is directly related to you rebuilding self-trust. Isn't that what you want? Because from self-trust, you get out of debt. From there, you make more money, you receive more money. From there, you don't repeat the pattern. Okay. So here's your action step for today. I want you to make a commitment to make one small concrete step that you can make in the next 24 hours. You can call your credit card company, right? You can write down your monthly money goal that includes an amount that you're going to commit to paying off debt with, and add that to your total monthly income goal. Okay. And maybe it's simply saying out loud, I can trust myself with money again, and I'm on the path to releasing my debt for good. All right. And the thing is, debt isn't forever. And the climb out begins with this development of self trust and taking one small action step at a time. So if you've been carrying shame about debt, hear me. You're actually not irresponsible and you're not a failure. You're on a journey and you get to write a new story. I'd love to hear what you're taking away from this, and reach out and follow me on Instagram. It's at Julie Steelman. So Instagram.com/at Julie Steelman. Direct message me. I want to hear from you, where I share. I'm going to give you on Instagram, I give you more tools, more videos, more encouragement to help you step into freedom with money, because that's really what I'm all about. And the thing is, the truth is, you can't be talked out of your money story and you can't be talked into your worth. You can absolutely learn how to self-lead financially from within. All right. And this is where debt ends and financial freedom begins. I'm Julie Steelman. I can't wait to talk to you next time.